Hey Bubble family, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video I'm going to be talking about chapter number 3, which is college, and also mentioned in there is when she meets Trevor. So I'm going to be talking about that. So if you want to join me, you know what to do. If you want to skip the waffle that is going to come next, you can go in the description box or click on this and it will show little sections, so you can just skip right to that. So, waffle. What am I going to talk about? Firstly, Bubbles, we've got to 16.5 thousand subscribers. Yay! Thank you so much. Mwah, mwah, mwah. You're all amazing, so thank you so much. It's cooler today, but I do have my trusty fan because every now and again I break out into a menopausal glow. See, I remembered glow. Yes, I just want to also reiterate that I love the fact that you all look out for, you know, me and Trev. You know, I get a lot of emails from people that are saying, oh, you know, things are being said either on Twitter, etc. You know, I guess, you know, trying to forewarn me or Trev. And it seems that this is also now filtering across to YouTube as well. What I will say, do not engage. I mean, don't get me wrong, I get that we all have sometimes a moment where we just react, and that's normal, we're human, but for the most part don't react to these people because they really just thrive on this kind of drama. But what I would definitely say is, if you see a YouTube channel that has gone up, definitely, you know, there's nothing wrong with making us aware of that, because then we can report it to YouTube. But don't click on the video, because all that does is help them, you know. And because when we have trolls and I get the comments, which I do find quite amusing, where they'll watch a video and then they'll decide to come in the comments and tell me what I'm racist or whatever it is that comes to mind. All I think about is, you know what, you've just watched my video and that's helped my algorithm, that's helped the monetary side of it, so thanks. You know, and that in a way, it's kind of, I mean, I don't say that to them because I just delete their comment because I'm not engaging with them, but in a way that's kind of what you do. So any of these videos that come up that are real kind of what I would call trolling videos, accounts that are made, like I say, definitely report them because they're not nice. And I'm not talking about the ones that just make normal videos and they just have an opinion on things. That's okay. If people even want to have an opinion on myself, I'm okay with that, you know, because I know who I am. But it's the ones that are editing and cropping and you know, a bit like what a certain someone has done and made something that's not true and made it a reality to lie. Just don't watch them. You know, if someone's sending you clips of it, that's fine, you know, obviously if you're seeing it, but don't then click on the channel, guys, because you're just, all you're doing is helping promote them in a way. So, you know, just let's not give them that energy. Because there's definitely a few that are, I guess, you know, the more successful you get, you know, like certain YouTubers that have got like a huge following, you know, they're going to find that unfortunately you then become a target, especially when we're talking about, you know, the Harry and Meghan stuff. So they just love to create that dishonesty, because what they seem to fail to realize is that we're only talking about stuff that is in the public domain, stuff that I've seen on the internet, reading the book, and then just giving my own opinions on that. It's not like I've camped outside their house and I'm flying over there to stalk them, because I've got better things to do in my time. But yeah, it's just fascinating how their mind works. So all I would say is, guys, I love you, and I appreciate the fact that you really, really do look out for myself and for my good friend Trev. But you know, just don't click on all I ask is maybe don't click on their videos, because it really does, just like I say, it gives them the views, and the less encouragement they have, the better. Is there anything else? Is there anything else I'm going to waffle about? No, I think it's a bit boring today. I've got nothing to report. And my bed's messy. And I'm going to get that in there before someone picks up on it. Messy bed. So yeah. By now, Bubbles, you know what to do. And if you don't, you should. Grab that drink of choice, whether it be tea, coffee, water, or in my case, my wonderful cherries and berries. Oh, and I've got lipstick on the outside. How gross is that? And maybe, what else? Cranberry juice. Or an ice with a slice, as one of my lovely subscribers have said to me before. Or you can add a shot of, like this wonderful passion fruit liqueur, which I have to say is very nice, very nice. A splash of that with a little bit of a fruity hit, because as we know, it is 5 o'clock somewhere. So grab your drink and let's dive right in. So Bubbles, let's get to chapter 3. Now someone has asked me, am I going to do every chapter? I'm kind of hoping that as I go along, I can kind of compact down a few chapters. But because I'm giving you kind of that therapeutic in-depth look to the book, I don't know. What do you think? Do you guys want every chapter? Because this could take a while. But you know what else is there to talk about right now, right? So, you know, and as I'm giving my therapeutic perspective along the way, you're kind of getting that as well. So let me know what you think in the comments, whether or not you would actually, you know, you want me to do every chapter, or you want me to kind of just maybe shorten it a little bit, you know. I don't know. I mean, we'll see, but just, yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. So Megan's first choice was Princeton, which was a rich kids' school. And here again, she uses us. Honestly, this woman has used Thomas's influence or money literally along the way. Because here she asks Thomas to help her out again. So he agrees to ask a friend to help Megan's entry. Honestly feel that this woman has not actually worked at getting anywhere. Now, I appreciate the fact that she's gone for a few auditions and stuff like that, but she really just, she expects someone to help her out. And the only time then she kind of works for something is when that kind of doesn't pan out. So she's like, oh, okay, I've actually got to earn my keep now. So, but anyway, so despite her good grades, she was rejected. She was very unhappy and she didn't like being turned down. Northwestern University in Chicago was the second choice, and this is the one that she got into. But in Megan's world, this was the entry card to the elite. She had chosen a privately, highly selected college renowned as a favourite of the rich and well-connected white students. So funny, considering she's just apparently so down with her black roots, apparently. But again, here she does associate with, she recognises the rich and well-connected are white. And again, Thomas pays for her to get into the Kappa Kappa Gamma sorority, you know, which again, she admits this when she talks about things. She admits the fact that she's been, you know, because even here, buying her way in, you know, it's kind of, so Thomas automatically volunteers to pay the $45,000 fee, which is to be paid every single year for her to be part of this. So he literally does everything to create her to be happy, even though I feel that she's just forever moving the goalposts and she's never really happy anyway. Life was good for Megan. She had friends, so she, you know, she's dating these white kind of footballers, and you know, and kind of. But then, what I find very odd and bizarre is that at 14 years of age, she buys a book called, it's a self-help dating Bible called The Rules, Time-Tested Secrets for Capturing the Heart of Mr. Right, written for women seeking marriage in the shortest time available. Megan acquired a copy soon after its publication in 1995. So 14 years of age, she's already thinking, how can I get into a relationship in the shortest term possible? That's very worrying. I mean, I'm not saying that 14-year-olds don't think of being in a relationship, or, you know, or think of even being a princess or whatever it is that some people might want to idealize and be. That there's nothing wrong with that. But the fact that she went out and bought this book at 14 is quite strange in my opinion, and unusual for a 14-year-old. In any relationship that she had, apparently there was always an element of marriage in the back of her mind. Each man was judged on how their domestic life was as part of a team, or they would look like in 10 years' time. Thomas Markle noticed the same calculation during his visits to Chicago. No, it's Chicago, Emma. It's not Chicago. What's that about? He heard Megan predict, "That's my next boyfriend." And once she identified, she successfully seduced the man. She fixed it, observed Thomas with awe. Now, I find that a bit weird that he's actually in awe of that, because it's very calculated, and what it kind of shows is that she doesn't view a relationship as in like taking time, getting to know somebody, falling in love with that person. She literally views it as a conquest. It's like, you know, I'm going to date you, and she goes all out in this strategic seduction. So if you have this now at the age of 14, it's not a far stretch to see how she then maneuvered herself in these circles. And then that's exactly what she did with Harry. She set her sights on Harry, and once she'd done that, she then went all out with this psychological warfare, wearing modeling clothing like Diana, being a humanitarian like Diana, wearing Diana's perfume, you know, trauma bonding with him. You know, she went all out to get him. And that's not healthy. That's not healthy at all. And now what we're seeing here is obviously clearly these two non-compatible people. Whereas when you have William and Catherine, you know, 8 years they were dating. You know, they went through this, you know, troubling times where he kind of ended it. He wasn't sure, you know, then they got back together, you know, and but in a way he kind of did that the right way, because he wanted to make sure that she was right for the role of being his wife, but also that she was right for him. Whereas Megan is like, literally, no, you're going to be my next boyfriend, and I'm going to do what it takes to get you. That's, I want to say bunny boiler, but it kind of is, really. It's very bizarre. But to do that at the age of kind of 14, 15 is... But what's, I think, a little bit more disturbing is the fact that Thomas is in awe of her in doing this. It's like, no, Thomas, that's not healthy. That's not a healthy way to be. And here it says here, you know, she functioned so much better with a man around. And then she also saved money by moving into the boyfriend's home. And again, so we've seen this. So what she's done here is that she's used Thomas. All the money that Thomas has had, she's used that to get to self elevated, his connections elevated. Then the next stepping stone, obviously, then after that is the boyfriends that she's tried to date in maybe opening up those circles. They've not worked. So then she's kind of like, oh, okay, now then there's Trevor, you know, which obviously he's the next stepping stone in her elevation. And that's literally all she does. But what I find fascinating here is he says, Thomas was puzzled as to why she suddenly called herself Rachel. She refused to explain the switch, but by coincidence, the sitcom Friends was the current rage starring Jennifer Aniston as Rachel. But what I find, and I'm wondering if it's a little bit more deep-rooted than that, because yes, it is very common, I think, for her to, because like a lot of things, you know, around the time people were adopting Jennifer Aniston's haircut, it was and things like that. So obviously the fact that she was named Rachel Meghan Markle, but this was around the time that Doria was coming back on the scene as well. And this was also around the time that Thomas was noticing the change in the way she was with him. And of course, Doria preferred the name Rachel. So I wonder if this kind of infiltration with Doria, where she's starting to really kind of taint the relationship with Thomas and Meghan, that Meghan changes her name back to Rachel because she knows how much her mother liked the name. But Thomas, probably not wanting to acknowledge that, then thinks, oh, well, it must have been to do with the connection with Friends. Don't know. I mean, it could have been a bit of both, because we also know how much Meghan likes to copy to get where she wants anyway. So here we have the fact that, you know, she shone in her charity work, including the Glass Slipper Project that provided dresses for local teenage girls for their prom and a 30-hour dance marathon to raise money for cancer sufferers. She also excelled in drama classes. But what I'm going to say, at this point, Meghan is very aware that if you do good things, things happen. So this is where I think she's gone from when she was younger, she was doing those things. And I think she, like I say, she had that element of compassion there. And there were certainly certain circumstances where that was being shown. But here, we've already seen a change in her behavior. She's changing towards Thomas. She's changing towards people. She's showing this kind of spoiled, diva-ish behavior on a more grown-up level. So what I would guess is that she's now recognizing that if I do those charity things, that's going to look good on my resume. Everything with her is this kind of cogs whirring of agenda. What can further my career? What's going to make me look good? So I don't think for 1 second when she's doing this charity work, that she's doing that because she actually cares. And I think that's kind of going forward. Whenever you see her do charity work, that's why nothing sticks. She does the odd thing and then she flips off to something else, because it's all about perception, all about what looks good. And I think that's exactly what she starts doing here. And I think this is the first step here, is where she starts recognizing, oh, if I do charity work, it makes me look good. And on my resume, it's going to show that, oh, I've done all this humanitarian work. I'm a good person. So it's going to help elevate me. And then again here it says she then pertinently, she resisted the invitation from Professor Linda Gates, the head of the voice program, to study acting in a theatre. And this woman said, you can learn to be a great actress, Gates recalled telling Meghan. But I'm not sure she wanted to, she says. Theatre is where you learn to transform yourself and reach an audience 6 or 7 nights a week. A star actress like Meryl Streep trained in the theatre and can completely transform herself to go deeper into the character. Well, this wouldn't work for someone like Meghan because she's a narcissist. So this is where her narcissistic tendencies are starting to develop. So what this would also show is that she's good at what she does. She doesn't need any help. And this is where her ego would be at play. But also because narcissists can't go to a deeper level. They can't, you know. So, you know, unless you are an exceptional actor. Like, we've certainly seen there are some actors out there that are exceptional but have that narcissistic type personality as well, because I think that's a lot in Hollywood, but they have the ability to do fantastic method acting. Megan isn't going to be able to do that because there's nothing deep rooted about her. She doesn't want to look at herself, because a part of that is looking at aspects of you. You have to go to those depths, you know, and I know that because I've done it a little bit. And Megan wouldn't do that because she's in her head, she's the best actress there is, and everyone else is a problem. But B, she's so shallow that she's not going to be able to go to any deep rooted lengths. So that, I'm guessing that's exactly why she refused to do the theatre. And it says here, what's interesting, her strength was empathy. No, it wasn't. You know, it's fake empathy when it gets you somewhere. When you've got somebody like Megan, who's treated at this precise moment, is treating students badly, treating her father terribly, that's not an empathic person. You don't pick and choose. You're empathic or you're not. You're pretending if you're fake. And I think that's what Megan had here. She's a fake person. So she pretends to be empathic with a specific moment. So then to other people, it's like, oh, she's so kind. But actually, she's not. She's not at all. So obviously then in amongst all this, she carries on using Thomas for his connections. You know, she gets a little part in General Hospital. And then again, later on, she talks about her experience of racism. And how apparently people were questioning her, and it's like, oh, your mum is black and your dad's white. It's like, how does that work? But again, none of this ever happened. Her professor, Harvey Young, at the African American Theatre at the college, says, in his own words, he did not believe there was any racism among the 15,000 students on the campus. You know, there you go. So then here again, during her second year, she uses her connections where she asks her uncle, Michael Markle, by then a communications expert for the US government, to arrange a 5-week internship as a junior press officer at the American Embassy in Buenos Aires. So again, she finds someone to help elevate her because this will look good on her resume. So she loved the politics. Now, I think what Megan loves is the fact that she's literally got so many fingers in different pies that she doesn't quite know. Like I say, it's almost like you throw enough mud at stuff, you know, to see what sticks. It's like she's literally like, I'll do that, I'll do that, I'll do that, I'll do that. You know, and a lot of that is because she's grown up with a father who's literally like, oh, you want to go horse riding? We'll go horse riding. You want to go fishing? We'll go fishing. If you want to learn guitar, we'll learn guitar. If you want to do this, you know, and she's literally anything that she's like, oh, I'm bored of that now. Let's try that. You know, and that's literally how she plays it. Her half sister Samantha would later claim that Megan was not actually employed in the embassy, because this again was what Megan would say, but she also failed the exam, but you know, admitted that. And so you know, another lie. She said this was arranged for work experience. That's kind of it. She says, my dad taught me to find my light. No, unfortunately, what her dad taught her was anything you want, you can get. You know, she didn't work her way up. She literally got handed opportunities because her dad worked on the set of General Hospital, because her uncle was, you know, works for the embassy. You know, she literally had all these opportunities where she was able to utilize that, whereas other people didn't have that. Her dad paid for renting a home, financed by Thomas Markle, bought a used car, and she asked her father to pay for the petrol. And of course, he said yes. Turned her bathroom into a dark room because suddenly she decided to want to learn photography. Well, that disappeared. But interestingly enough, I think it possibly grates her a little bit. Then Catherine was into photography. And I wonder because this was around the time she would have been aware of Catherine. So I wonder if that was a little bit of why she wanted to get into photography, because Catherine liked photography. Just a thought. In 2004, 23 years old, she meets Trevor Engelson in a West Hollywood bar. Tall with reddish hair, the ambitious 27-year-old graduate of cinematography at the University of Southern California was starting out as a film producer. So I think she's just like, ching ching. It's like, next. But interesting, there is reports, if you see one of my other videos where I talk about the relationship with Trevor in my Meghan Markle series, where she states that she did meet Trevor before. So I think they bumped into each other before. And I wonder if this again is where she set her sights on him. Because she openly says that that's what she does. And then of course, you know, he's furthering his career. And I think she saw him as a bit of a challenge because he's a bit of a wild boy. He's a bit of a, you know, a bit of a lad. But he's, you know, he's wanting to work his way up the ladder. So I think that this was where he was kind of used as well. But I do think she did like him as well, because the way that you, like I say, if you look at the pictures and her body language, it's different. It's different to how she is with Harry. I did have to laugh at this. A quote from Trevor: "Don't give it 5 minutes if you're not going to give it 5 years." Who copied that? 10 years later, Meghan frequently intoned both these lines in speeches to young audiences as her philosophy of life. But no hint that someone else said that before her. But I think that these little nuggets that she does, like I say with Trevor, is I think these are all little nuggets where she kind of does that. And narcissists do this. They don't like you to forget them. So they throw things in that will be a reminder. So the fact that she's on a global scale doing these big speeches before obviously she left, and no one was really interested, and she says that, it's going to get back to him. So that, you know, so he, in her mind, that's like, oh, that's going to really affect you because I've taken your quote as my own. And then after a few months, then Meghan moved into his home in Hilldale. So again, every time she seems to meet somebody, you know, she moves. So she's got Daddy paying for everything, and then she meets Trevor, and then within a few months moves in with him. And she seems to do this as a way to save money. So she's doing this again. So this keeps going on throughout. The other thing that I'm not sure about is it doesn't really go into detail about this thing that she says about her driving around Los Angeles in a battered Ford Explorer whose front door didn't open. She got in and out of the trunk hatch. I don't believe this. Now, knowing the way that we've known her, knowing the fact that she's spoiled, self-entitled, likes nice things, nice clothes, expensive things. I'm not saying that she didn't drive around in that car, but I can't see her climbing in and out of the trunk, because did the door the other side not open? Firstly, but I don't buy this story. I don't know why I don't buy it, and it doesn't really go into detail. So whether or not this maybe couldn't have been corroborated, but I just don't buy it. I don't buy that someone like Meghan would be content with climbing through the trunk of her car to get into her car. That's just crazy to me. That makes zero sense. Zero sense to me. When you've got Daddy paying for everything and you've got then moving in with Trevor, why don't you just get your car fixed? It couldn't have been that much to fix the lock on the car, to get a new lock fitted. I just call BS on that. I just do. Something just doesn't track. And I feel like it was just a story to kind of make it seem like, oh, I'm like all of you and I struggled and blah, blah, blah. So this is when she lands her deal on Deal or No Deal. And I guess clearly the feminist side of her kind of went out the window a little bit, because this whole thing of this outrage of this using sex appeal to... So here's the thing. I am not against anyone making any choices they want with whatever they do. You know, you're your own person, do what you want. But what I don't like is when you have somebody like Meghan who pretends to be a feminist, who pretends to be so outraged by certain things unless it benefits her. So it's like, on one hand, you know, I'm so outraged by all of these things. Oh, but I will dress up in a skimpy outfit and be a briefcase. Briefcase girl. to further my career. I will flip burgers in a sexy outfit to elevate my career. You know, I just honestly. And apparently this is around the time that Trump used to visit the set, and he used to send out invites to some of the girls to visit where he was staying. And there are reports that people have said that Meghan rejected this, but the recollection of Brett Ratner, a successful Hollywood producer at the time, he openly says tons of beautiful girls came, he recalled. Among them, every weekend were the game show girls. Meghan was one of those frequent guests, and she was one of the last to leave. And I do wonder, because this then, you know, when people have talked about this yacht girl thing, I wonder if this was then perhaps the stepping stone. Because if you're mixing with the likes of Trump and these circle of things that go on, which we know that goes on in Hollywood, I don't personally agree with this. And I would never want to be associated with something like that. But each to their own. But it's not a far stretch then to think that she goes from that to this yacht club thing. Just putting that out there. So yeah, so then she's doing the flipping burgers, but later on she says, oh, she felt objectified. Well, no one forced you to do it. You know, this is this whole thing of, you know, she feels objectified, but you made the choice. You weren't a child. You were, you know, you knew what you were doing. You know, if you're going to, you know, own it, just say, yeah, you know what? I used that. Nothing wrong with that. In fact, I think that's more empowering if you say, do you know what? I was wanting to make money. I wanted to elevate myself. I saw an opportunity and I grabbed it, you know, and yeah, I know it made me look sexy or whatever it is, you know, whatever, how she thinks, you know what, but so what? So what? You know, I got paid quite well from that, and I would have a lot more respect for somebody. But then to do that and then act as if almost like it was forced upon her, where she says, I felt objectified. Well, don't do it then. It's quite simple. If you don't want to do an advert where you're walking around flipping burgers in a sexy outfit or whatever it is, then just go, yeah, no, not for me, thanks. It's not rocket science. Yeah, so here she is with Trevor. You know, he's paying for, she didn't have a lot of money. They flew to Greece, Mexico, Thailand, visiting recommended restaurants. Oh, honestly, such a hard life for her. And then she's looking for a big break. And then she's doing these little bit parts. But again, it's this, you know, she plays a former sex worker. She plays the part in Beverly Hills 90210 where she's giving someone a BJ in a car. And no, it's not a Boris Johnson. It's the other. You know, she's doing all of these things. And again, own it. You know, if you want to do that, and if you're wanting to elevate yourself, then there's nothing wrong with taking those parts, because at the end of the day, someone's got to. If they're written in the script, someone's got to take it. So, but own it. But this whole ethos of, you know, oh no, it was just terrible and it was horrible and it was a horrible time for me. You were an adult. You weren't like a lot of these some of the stories I read about these child actors, you know, some of the stories that some of these women have to, who have gone through terrible things on the sets of something, they're terrible. And I can understand why they don't want to be in the industry anymore. But she goes through that, but then goes, oh, but what's the next one? You know, she doesn't go, do you know what, this isn't for me. She's like, no, yeah, what's next? It's just. So yeah, so this is kind of what she's doing. And again, no mention of racism, no mention of really struggling, but later on, obviously, then uses race because this is what she does. That's how that she's kind of gone all the way along here. She's been absolutely fine, no issues, even putting herself down as Caucasian. In fact, a lot of the time, every single time like people have been interviewed, they have not seen her as biracial. There's been Latino or maybe Mexican, but not biracial. Then she gets the call for Suits, she gets the job, and even the is it the director? Aaron Korsh. He's the writer. And he says, his own words, "I didn't know that Megan was mixed race when she was piloted. She was just the best for the role." So on the 24th, so there you go, 24th of August 2010, she did the pilot. She earned $50,000 per episode, and that would equate to $600,000 after 9 months. Then she had to move to Toronto. And apparently Megan didn't have a problem with that. Well, of course she didn't, because this is when I believe she started to outgrow Trevor. She still needed him a little bit, I believe. But yeah, she outgrew him. She's starting to earn her own money. But she wasn't quite secure, wasn't quite safe yet. So she still needed him just in case Suits didn't pan out. But yeah. Doesn't surprise me in the slightest that she had no issue moving away from Trevor, because it has always been about her career. It has never been about her relationship. And that's why, unfortunately, Thomas was then abandoned. And then slowly but surely, everyone else that's elevated her or certainly supported her have then become abandoned. So yeah, so that is this particular chapter, chapter 3. Chapter 4 is Suits, which I'll be doing. No, tomorrow is my Q&A. So tomorrow is my Q&A, guys. So let me know what you think in the comments, as you always do. If you have liked this video, then please give it a thumbs up. If you like more of my videos and would like to consider subscribing to this wonderful channel and this wonderful community that we're building here, then please think about doing that, because it also helps the algorithm and helps promote me on YouTube. So yeah, so let me know whether you decide that you would like me to do every chapter. I mean, this could be a long one, but maybe you would like me to do that. And don't forget that my live with Trev tomorrow night at 7 p.m. and we have a special guest. I'm not giving anything away, but we have a special guest on the channel. And yeah, so if you want to join us, please feel free. 7 p.m. tomorrow evening. And remember, if you do not like the curse words, the fruity language as I call it, please know that you can always watch it on the replay and fast forward the bits that you're not comfortable with. It's not ever our intention to upset anybody on the channel, but sometimes things are said, or sometimes things happen and someone might feel triggered by that. So just please bear that in mind and just step away. You know, if you're feeling yourself getting triggered by anything, whether my videos or anything, please step away. You know, it's okay to do that. So yeah, thank you to everyone who's bought me a cup of tea. Thank you to everyone who has become a member, and I will be doing the member shout out in my Q&A video. And if you would like to join up, it is by the subscribe button, or you can become a Patreon, which the link will be in the description box, and you can also become a member on the Buy Me a Coffee channel. There is no Buy Me a Coffee channel. Buy Me a Coffee website. As always, I love you, Bubbles. I love you. I appreciate you, but more importantly, I respect you. And I'll see you tomorrow. Mwah. Bye.